Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on training the trainer. We are so happy you joined us this afternoon. These webinars are conducted in conjunction with our monthly newsletter. So keep a lookout for the registrations in those upcoming newsletters. Just a reminder, everyone is on mute, but you can enter a question that you have in the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen anytime you think of a question. So with that, I'll turn it over to Lauren and we'll get started.
Absolutely. So just a reminder, everyone is on mute. Like Rebecca said, if you have any questions, please feel free to enter those in the question and answer box. That'll be the feature available to you to let us know if you have any questions. And anything we can't cover in the webinar or anything that might be specific to your individual organization, we will follow up with you individually afterward. So today we want to talk about the steps to take when you are onboarding and training a new hire within your organization. So when IRIS comes to your organization and when the program is implemented, we start off by training a few users, and those are typically what we call super users. And so those would be people who get really, really comfortable with the program, very knowledgeable, and they can help facilitate additional training of coworkers. And then as new people come to your organization, the people who are already trained can cascade that training down. So pretty similar to other processes within most organizations, training the trainer approach. So we want to give you some resources and some best practices for doing that. And then after the webinar, we're going to provide a checklist to each of you that will allow you to reference the steps that we're mentioning here today so that you can keep track of the new user's progress and ensure that they have a strong foundation for success as you go forward conducting exams. So let me go ahead and move forward, and Rebecca's going to talk a little bit more about the initial steps. So that checklist I mentioned, we've got a little bit of a screenshot here for you to review. Again, we'll be sending a copy of that to each of you at the end of the webinar.
Great. So the first step when you get a new user is we want them to have access to the IRIS portal. So someone in your organization should be able to grant them access. It might be someone that's called the portal administrator or a site administrator. Your manager may be able to do that, but someone internally should be able to get the new user added to the IRIS portal. Then the user will log into the portal, and that's where they'll have access to the IRIS-U modules. If you run into any problems getting the user added or the user can't find their modules, please reach out to our help desk. They'll be able to get that solved for you. So once the user finishes those video modules, they'll really have a good foundation of the basics of the IRIS program. So your image quality, how the camera operates generally, and the purpose of doing the exams. So at that point, you'll be ready to pick up with the one-on-one training.
All right. So at the beginning of one-on-one training, we want to focus on your internal workflows. So these are going to be varied based on the organization and the camera type that you have. Some of our organizations are integrated, so they place an order in the EMR and it comes to the camera. Some have a process where they enter those orders into the portal. So we really want to make sure that we help the camera operator understand what processes take place for your organization. How are those patients being identified? Is this something that you are doing ahead of time? Some organizations might have a list of patients, or they scrub the schedule the day before to identify eligible patients. Some organizations might have an alert in their EMR system. So how are you finding out who is eligible for the exam on a day-to-day basis? So that patient identification is a step you want to cover. We want to help the user understand how to enter in the order. Is this something anyone in your organization can do within your EMR, or is this something limited to certain people, maybe certain staff members or providers? So how are those orders being entered in? And then does a separate order need to be entered in to the IRIS portal, or does that single order transmit to the camera? We also want to cover dilation protocol with the user. So in those video modules that Rebecca mentioned, there should be a video regarding the dilation protocol for your organization, whether that's a natural dilation protocol or if you have the use of the dilation drops. And again, that varies based on organization. If your organization is using natural dilation protocol, what are the steps you're taking? Do you have a red light in the room? Helping the user understand the little tips and tricks that we talk about in terms of having the user relax and having the patient maybe tap on their knee, little techniques like that we want to review. In terms of dilation drops, does your organization have any additional protocols to observe? Is there a checklist or a form or some kind of questionnaire that the patient needs to answer? Or is it simply a matter of administering those drops when needed? So helping your new operator understand what steps to take to be in alignment with your organization's protocol on that. And then finally, we want to make sure that we go over results retrieval. So are those results coming back to your EMR? Are you retrieving them from the IRIS portal? Are they being faxed? There's a lot of ways that IRIS can deliver results to patients. And so we want to make sure that that user understands after the exam's completed and those images are interpreted, how do they retrieve the results so that they can be communicated to the patient?
Okay, so now that your new user has a good understanding of your internal workflow, this is where you want to start teaching them about the IRIS program and the images that they're going to be capturing and what we're looking for. So number one is the anatomy and the image quality. So this is going to be very similar to what one of us at IRIS would teach you. And if you were part of training at IRIS, you can emulate what we did with you, what worked best for you, do that with your coworkers. So number one, make use of those image quality cards that you got in your Go Live kit when you first started with the IRIS program. So if you don't have those, please reach out to the help desk or let one of us know, and we can get you another set of those image quality cards. Those will have pictures on one side of the card with common issues that we see that affect image quality, and on the back of each card it'll give you an explanation. So this is really helpful when you're teaching your new users, but it's also really helpful when those new users are taking images and they're not quite sure what might be happening in a picture. They can kind of find one that's similar in that deck and look at the back for an explanation and suggestions on how to improve it. So back to the anatomy, make sure they can identify all of the 4 parts of anatomy, the optic nerve, macula, and the superior and inferior arcades. Those are very important. As all of you know, these 4 parts have to be in every image in order for it to be most likely gradable. So teach them those 4 parts, but then make sure they can identify them as well. So you want to be able to have that user point them out to you or name them specifically and make sure they know where they're supposed to be located in the image. So we know that the optic nerve should be at 3 o'clock for the right eye or 9 o'clock for the left eye. Make sure your new users know that as well. So after that, just make sure that as you're practicing, those new users are being able to identify those common image quality issues and know how to troubleshoot those.
All right, so once your user knows the types of images we are trying to capture and how to troubleshoot images that are not ideal, it's time for them to learn how to take an image. So camera operation, we want to teach the user how to take images with your camera. And obviously that direction and process is going to vary based on the camera type that you have at your organization. So as Rebecca mentioned, it's really helpful to think back on things that have really worked well for you in terms of when you learned how to use the camera and maybe some additional techniques that you've picked up along the way. You can always reference our videos from IRIS University for kind of a basic how-to on image capture for your particular camera. And so showing them how to use the camera obviously is going to be a big part of making them comfortable and proficient with the exam. We also want to go ahead and show them how to clean the lens and make sure that they have a good understanding of that. Even though lens cleaning is just as needed, it's important that every operator knows how to clean the lens in case they're taking an exam and the lens is dirty, so they can pause the exam and clean it. So take a few moments to show them how to clean the lens when you're demonstrating the camera operation to the user.
Just a quick reminder before we dive into patient scripting, don't forget, if you have a question, put that in the Q&A box and we will answer those at the end. So patient scripting, this is an important piece of training that is easy to forget about, because we have to efficiently communicate with the patient what we are doing and why we're taking this exam. So you really want to review that with your new user and have them practice back to you what they feel comfortable saying, and maybe even do that with a few coworkers until they get their spiel ironed out. One tip to remember: less is more. So sometimes when we give too many details to the patient, it brings up some questions that we may not be able to answer. So I would keep the explanation pretty simple. Make sure the patient knows what you're doing. So we're taking pictures of their eyes. Make sure they know what they're supposed to do. We want them to be focused on the fixation point. If you have a handheld camera, you may be instructing them to cover one eye, things like that. So make sure they know what to do. And then lastly, make sure they know to expect a bright flash when the image is captured so that they're not surprised. So go over those points with your new user, have them practice those back to you.
All right, then it's everyone's favorite part. It's time to practice. So now that your new user is an expert on all things related to the IRIS program at your organization, and they know how to use the camera, it's time for them to practice. We find it really beneficial for them to initially practice on coworkers. The more eyes that they take pictures of, the better. So our recommendation is to have them practice taking images on at least 5 different coworkers, and have them practice that patient scripting when they practice those exams. So when they are taking images of their coworkers, they should really treat it as if it's a dress rehearsal for a real exam. So treat your coworker like a real patient. I know it's a little strange sometimes doing that role playing, but it really makes a difference in your comfort presenting the exam to a patient. You don't want the first time that you go through that spiel to be with a real patient. You want to kind of, like Rebecca said, iron that out beforehand. And so it's really beneficial to do that with your coworkers. And then, just have them take several images of each coworker, have them troubleshoot the quality of those images. If they ask you if it's good image, ask them what they think and get them, to start really thinking about whether or not these images are quality images. And then you can support them in understanding whether they're correct in their assessment. That's a training technique I use a lot because it helps that user get more well-versed in understanding whether the image they've captured is likely to be gradable. Another thing that we found is beneficial is have the operator observe 2 IRIS exams that are conducted by experienced camera operators. As Rebecca mentioned, multiple people can help train the user. So it might not be the same person performing the exam each time, but have them observe an IRIS exam, at least 2 IRIS exams performed by experienced camera operators. And then on the flip side, have them perform at least 2 exams while accompanied by an experienced camera operator. That will give them a little bit of training wheel experience before you send them off to ride the bike on their own. So they can kind of refer to you during those initial exams so that they can feel more comfortable. When they start to perform exams on their own, it is very important that they have the opportunity to perform as many exams as possible in the beginning. So where possible, have them perform upcoming IRIS exams. We find that most operators, it takes about 10 exams for them to really become comfortable because that gives them a variety of patient experiences and challenges to encounter. So once you've trained the new operator, If possible, have them perform the iris exams on the eligible patients and maybe have the more experienced operators cover the floor or take over some duties so that they can really get proficient. If you train a new operator and then they don't perform exams very soon after, they will kind of lose that skill. And so it's really important to help ensure that they have time to become comfortable and proficient.
Okay, so now you've gotten to the point where your user is been trained fully and is ready to be off on their own taking exams. So we are going to send you all a copy of this checklist for you to use. I know we showed you a little snippet of it at the beginning, but I want to point out that there is a place for initials at each step along the process for the trainer to sign that the trainee has been through each step. And this allows you to use the checklist as a competency form as well. So if you would like to keep track of who has been through the entire training process, you can use the checklist for that. Like Lauren said, the new user can be trained by multiple experienced camera operators or managers. So you can use that checklist to pick up right where the last person left off. If you all have any questions, get those in the Q&A box and we'll get those answered for you. I do want to remind you that if anyone at your organization could benefit from this webinar or any of our past webinars, you can find links to those in the upcoming newsletter.
And real quick, I'm just going to go ahead and share very quickly the copy of the checklist, just so you all can see it. And then we will go ahead and go to answering some questions. So here is a copy of the trainer checklist that you will be receiving. As Rebecca mentioned, there are places for the trainers to write their initials to confirm that each topic has been covered with the operator or that the task or objective has been completed. And at the end, you can sign off once everything has been completed and it can be added to their file as a competency form. So great resource for all of your users to have. And it really helps keep you on track and ensure that this new user has been set up for success regarding the IRIS program.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be sending you the checklist, as well as look for the link to the webinar in the next newsletter. So we have one question about updated materials. If you need updated materials, reach out to your client success manager or the IRIS help desk, and we can get you those sent to your clinic. Lauren, you want to take this next question?
Yeah, so we have someone asking about the best way for the user to learn about the retinal anatomy and how to correct common image quality issues. So the best first resource is going to be those IRIS University training modules. There are several videos regarding the anatomy and image quality and troubleshooting. So it's really helpful to have the user take the time to watch those videos initially. I know it's a little bit of an investment time-wise, but it's really beneficial to give them a solid foundation for understanding the proper anatomy and the image quality. And then, as Rebecca mentioned, every clinic does receive image quality cards when the program is implemented at their site. So many clinics have those image quality cards near the camera with the lens cleaning supplies and other tools that they use. If you don't happen to have those image quality cards, maybe they've been misplaced, we are happy to send you some more. We also have digital copies of those that you can reference anytime. They have a picture of the ideal image, they have the labeled anatomy, and then they have common issues that we see with various challenges performing the exam and suggestions on how to fix those. So that would be a resource going forward once the user has that initial foundation.
Okay, we have another question about what are the required courses for new camera operators. So those will be found in the Iris University tab in the Iris portal. So once your new user is added to the Iris portal, they will automatically have access to those training videos. So they are set up to be specific to your site and the type of camera that you have. So your user should be able to access those as soon as they have access to the Iris portal.
All right, we've got another question regarding the parts of anatomy in the photos. So we mentioned all 4 parts of anatomy need to be present in the images that are captured. Some handheld devices do allow for multiple images to be uploaded per eye. Many of our tabletop cameras, it's just going to be 1 image per eye that gets uploaded. If you have a camera that allows for multiple images to be uploaded and you're having trouble capturing all 4 parts of anatomy in a single image, you can upload multiple images to show different parts of anatomy. But ideally, you would be able to capture all 4 parts or as close to all 4 parts of anatomy in a single image. So there are going to be times where that's not possible, and we do want you to feel free to upload multiple images if your camera type allows it. But we are, striving for as close to an ideal image in each exam as we're able to capture. But this is real life. That doesn't always happen. So use the tools available to you as you can.
Okay, the next question is how to get a copy of the image quality cards. So feel free to let us know that you need those. You can reply to the email, the newsletter email. You can send an email to our help desk. You can add it to the Q&A box here, and we'll get you those image quality cards.
All right. Next question is regarding the tropicamide drops. How many tropicamide drops of 0.5% can we administer per eye? So the indication on the bottle is 1 to 2 drops. That is going to vary based on your organization. Some organizations limit users to 1 drop. Some say to administer 2, and then some leave it to the discretion of the camera operator, depending on the patient's pupil size. So the answer to that question is definitely no more than 2, but you should refer to your organization's dilation protocol to confirm what their preference is on the number of drops that are administered per eye.
All right, thanks everyone for your questions.
Those are some good ones.
We'll just hang out for 1 more minute and make sure no more come in before we wrap up.
And again, we really do want to thank you for your participation on these webinars. It means a lot to us that you take some time out of your day to join us and learn more about the program and how to be more successful. So we want you to feel supported, and we really appreciate your time today.
Everyone, watch your inboxes for a copy of the checklist, and we would love your feedback on the checklist itself. So if you would like anything added or removed or reworded, please let us know, and we'll be happy to go over those suggestions.
Absolutely. A couple more announcements, but real quick before we wrap up. Our next webinar is going to be a discussion with Dr. Gross. He is the Chief Medical Officer here at Iris. And so we're going to have a chat with Dr. Gross to get his thoughts. This is going to be a really great webinar for everybody. We're also going to be inviting your providers to join us. So be on the lookout for more information about that in our upcoming newsletter for March. And then we're also hosting a kind of a competition. It's called March Madness. So in honor of the NCAA March Madness tournament, we are challenging our clinics to try to perform more exams in March than they did in the month of January. And the clinics with the highest utilization increase percentage-wise above their January performance are going to be recognized. We've got some fun things planned that we will be revealing as the tournament progresses. So those clinics, those primary care facilities that kind of have a little bit of control over that utilization, we're inviting them to participate in that campaign this year. So very exciting. First year we've done this. We've already sent out one email for registration. We will be sending out more notifications, so be on the lookout for that. And we're looking forward to seeing everybody's participation and increase.
Okay, we got a few more questions that came in here. So the first one that I'm going to answer here is again about dilation drops and natural dilation. I'm sorry, if you're not using dilation drops, what's the maximum amount of time someone should sit in the dark before attempting to take images? And if they have small pupils still, what are the next steps? So the answer is you should not have them sit more than 10 minutes. After about 10 minutes in the dark, as long as they're not on their phone and there's not another bright light in the room, about 10 minutes, they should get maximum dilation. And at that point, just take the best images that you can and then upload those. So don't wait more than 10 minutes and then do the best that you can.
All right, next question is regarding performing the iris exam on patients with cataract surgery and lenses. There's no contraindication for any patient that's had surgery for cataracts or have had lens implants. You may at times notice a little bit of a rainbow or kind of like a reflection effect in some of the images as a result of those lenses, particularly if you're using a handheld device. You should be able to maneuver the camera to get that reflection not to appear in the images. You can also, again, take multiple images if needed on those handheld devices. But there are no contraindications. You are absolutely welcome to perform exams on patients who have had that procedure done.
All right, the next question is about one of the specific handheld devices and how to set that target, the red dot. So that can be moved using the set of arrows in the center of the handle of that camera. So you will want to double check that that's in the correct location before every exam. It can be moved accidentally, and there's no way to lock that into place. So you do have to double check that those that the target light is set in the correct position for each image.
All right. Few more requests for the education material and the image quality cards. So we've got a record of all those requests and we'll make sure that everyone receives those. And again, you can always email the help desk or reply to the newsletter to get any sort of materials or support that you need.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for your time. We're so happy you joined us today.
Have a great day, everyone.